Time is the one resource you can never get back. You can lose money and make it again. You can lose energy and rest to recover. You can lose relationships and build new ones. But when time is gone, it's gone. Yet most people live like they have an unlimited supply. They scroll, they delay, they make excuses, they let other people decide what their time is worth. They trade hours of their life for things that don't matter in the long run, and then they wonder why they feel stuck, overwhelmed, or unfulfilled. What would change in your life if you treated time like the priceless, non-renewable asset it is? What if you actually started protecting it, managing it, and maximizing it the same way you obsess over your bank account or your social media following? Time isn't just about the clock, it's about your choices. Every minute you spend on something that doesn't matter is a minute you're stealing from the life you actually want. And that life you want, it's not going to magically happen on its own. It doesn't appear because you wish for it. It's built day by day in the time you already have, or it's missed entirely. Let's get honest. How much of your day is spent reacting? How much is spent doing things out of obligation, distraction, or habit? You might think you're too busy, but what you really are is too unintentional. You haven't created a structure that protects what matters. You haven't said no to what's draining you, and the cost of that is your time. We tell ourselves stories. I'll do it later. I'm not ready yet. Once things settle down, I'll focus. But time doesn't wait for things to settle. Life doesn't pause until you're ready. There is no perfect moment, there's only now. And every now you waste is a now you don't get back. Time is non-renewable. That means it's more valuable than any paycheck, any promotion, any possession, and yet we're more likely to protect our passwords than our calendars. If someone asked for $500, you'd think twice, but if someone wants 2 hours of your time, you just give it away. That's backward, that's broken. You need to value your time the way high-performers do, as a resource to be respected, not an open door to everyone and everything. There are people with fewer resources, more responsibilities, and more challenges than you who are still doing the work, showing up with purpose and making their time count. It's not because they have more time. It's because they make different choices with the time they do have. They don't entertain excuses. They don't surrender to distractions. They have clarity, and with clarity comes power. The truth is, you can't master your life if you don't master your time. You can't achieve the big things you want, the career, the health, the relationships, the growth, if your time is being drained by things that are beneath your potential. And yes, that means making changes. That means disappointing people. That means saying no, but you have to decide. Would you rather disappoint someone else temporarily or disappoint yourself permanently? You are not behind. You are not too late. But you do need to wake up, because right now the clock is still ticking, and how you use the next hour, the next day, the next week, it matters. It's shaping your future. It's either building your dream or blocking it. You can keep wishing, or you can start using your time like the gift it is. You don't need more hours. You need more intentionality, more boundaries, more discipline, and more urgency. This is your life, and it's happening right now. Make it count. Your goals aren't sitting around waiting for you to get ready. They're not going to pause while you figure out your fears, work through your doubts, or wait for the right moment. Life doesn't freeze until you feel confident. Opportunities don't sit on the sidelines waiting for you to stop procrastinating. The truth is, the world keeps moving, whether you do or not. The clock isn't stopping, and if you're not moving forward, you're falling behind. There's this idea people carry around that they'll start when they feel more prepared, when they have more time, when it's not so hectic, when things are more stable. But have you noticed that someday never actually shows up on the calendar? Someday is just code for never. It's a trap, and if you keep waiting for perfect conditions, you'll wait yourself out of the life you actually want. Time is not going to slow down so you can catch up. You have to move with urgency. You have to take steps even when they're uncomfortable, even when you're unsure, even when you feel like you're not completely ready, because action is what creates momentum. Waiting just creates more waiting. Your goals, the real ones, the ones that scare you a little, they require your energy now. not your leftover time, not what's left at the end of your day after you've taken care of everyone else. Not when you're in the mood, they require your best, and if you're not putting that in, you're delaying your own potential. Think about it. Every single person who's achieved something great started with the same 24 hours you have. The difference wasn't more time, it was how they treated time. They understood that life moves fast, and if you want to accomplish something meaningful, you can't just react to whatever's coming at you. You have to get intentional. You have to make your time match your goals. So ask yourself, does your daily routine reflect where you want to go? Are your actions today building the future you keep saying you want? Or are you just hoping things will eventually work out while you keep doing the same things that haven't worked? Hope is not a strategy, and wishing is not execution. You can have the clearest vision in the world, but if your behavior doesn't align with it, it's not a goal, it's a fantasy. There is urgency here, and that's not about pressure, it's about responsibility. The longer you delay, the more disconnected you become from the discipline it takes to grow. The more you put things off, the more your confidence erodes. And over time, you begin to believe that maybe your goal was unrealistic, but the goal wasn't the problem, it was the delay. Every day you wait is a day you could have built something. Every time you talk yourself out of starting, you're reinforcing the habit of hesitation. And that habit, it kills dreams, it keeps people average, it keeps people stuck in the same place year after year, wondering why nothing changes. You want more, then act like it. Stop talking about your potential and start proving it. Potential doesn't matter if it's never activated, and the only way to activate it is through consistent, intentional, uncomfortable action. Not once, not when you feel inspired. Every day, you're not running out of talent. You're running out of time, so no, your goals aren't going to wait for you, but that's the gift in it, that urgency you feel, that's your wake-up call, that's your reminder that you were never meant to sit on the sidelines of your own life. If you want to be proud of the life you've built, you can't wait around for the right moment to build it. You have to work with what you've got. Start with what you know and keep moving, because the clock isn't going to hit pause while you figure it all out. It's ticking, and you either use that time or you lose it. Your goals are real, your time is limited, and your responsibility is now. Most people don't realize they're living by default until they wake up one day and wonder how they got here. They follow the routine, they do what's expected, they take the safe job, they follow the same habits, they say yes to what's convenient, and they end up with a life that looks fine on the outside but feels disconnected on the inside. That's what living by default looks like, drifting through life, responding instead of deciding, existing instead of building. When you live by design, everything changes. You take ownership of your time. You become intentional about your choices, you stop waiting for life to hand you direction, and you start creating the path you want to walk. Living by design means stepping back from autopilot and asking, what do I really want? What do I value? What kind of life would make me proud at the end of the day? The truth is, default is easy, it's familiar. It doesn't demand anything from you. That's why so many people stay in it. They confuse comfort with fulfillment. They think because life isn't falling apart, it must be working, but deep down, they know they were made for more. They just don't know how to break the pattern. Design, on the other hand, requires discipline. It means you stop saying yes to everything and start saying yes to the right things. It means your calendar reflects your priorities, not just your obligations. It means you make hard decisions now so you can experience freedom later. That's the trade. Often most people aren't willing to make it, but the ones who are, they build lives that look and feel different. They don't live for the weekend, they don't dread Mondays, they aren't surviving, they're growing, they aren't stuck in cycles, they're building momentum, and that doesn't happen by accident, it happens by design. If you want a different result, you need a different strategy, and it starts with getting clear. What does success look like for you? Not what your family says, not what society says, what you say. What do you want to create? What kind of person do you want to become? What do you want your life to stand for? If you don't define that, you'll keep defaulting to someone else's definition. Clarity gives you focus. Focus gives you power. And power gives you freedom, but you only get that when you start being honest with yourself. Is the life you're living right now aligned with the one you say you want, or are you just going through the motions? Design also requires boundaries. You cannot live intentionally if you're saying yes to everyone and everything. You can't move forward if you're constantly being pulled in directions that don't serve your vision. You need to protect your space, your energy, your time because they are limited. And if you don't protect them, they'll be consumed by things that don't matter. Living by design doesn't mean every day is perfect. It doesn't mean you have it all figured out, but it does mean you're aware. You're not drifting. You're not just reacting to whatever shows up. You're taking control of what you can, your mindset, your decisions, your habits, and using those things to shape your reality. You are not here to blend in. You are not here to settle. You are not here to live someone else's version of your life. You are here to build something bold, something purposeful, something that reflects who you really are. But that only happens when you stop defaulting to what's easy and start designing what's meaningful. So stop waiting, stop drifting, stop numbing out and calling it peace. You were made to live awake. To live fully, to live by design, the moment you decide to take ownership, everything changes. The power you're looking for, it's already in you, but you have to activate it. You have to choose it. You have to design the life you want and then have the courage to build it. Every single day, when you look at how you're spending your time every day, can you honestly say you're proud of it? Not just busy, not just productive, not just checking boxes proud. That kind of pride doesn't come from hustle for the sake of hustling. It comes from alignment. It comes from knowing that your actions are moving you towards something that matters. Because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how full your schedule is if it's not full of the right things. Most people don't audit their time. They move through their days in survival mode, bouncing from one obligation to the next, convinced they don't have time to think bigger or move differently. But here's the truth: your daily choices are creating your future. You don't need to look at your 5-year plan to know where you're headed. Just look at your calendar this week. That's your direction. You should be able to look at your day and see the evidence of your goals. You should see space carved out for growth, for health, for relationships, for whatever it is you say matters most. If your calendar and your values don't match, that's not just a scheduling problem, that's an integrity problem. Because saying you value something but never giving it your time, that's just talk, and talk doesn't build results. Being proud of your days starts with getting honest about how you're spending them. Not how you wish you were spending them, not how you tell people you're spending them, but the real, unfiltered truth. Are you spending hours on your phone instead of on your goals? Are you saying yes to every distraction while your vision sits untouched? Are you letting other people dictate your schedule because you haven't stepped up to own it yourself? Pride doesn't come from perfection. It comes from intentionality, from showing up for your goals even when it's uncomfortable, from honoring your time instead of wasting it, from knowing that, even if progress is slow, it's happening because you chose to be deliberate with your energy. And that doesn't mean every hour of every day needs to be optimized or scheduled down to the minute. It means you're awake in your life, you're not sleepwalking through it, you're not numbing out with distractions or hiding behind "I'm too busy." You are making time work for you, not the other way around. You should be able to close out your day and say, "That moved me forward." Maybe not in big dramatic ways, maybe just a few steps, maybe just one, but you knew where you were going and you acted on it. That's the kind of consistency that builds confidence. That's what makes you proud, not what the world sees, but what you know you're building. Your time is your most honest reflection of your values. Anyone can say they want something, but how they spend their time reveals the truth. You say you want to start that business, write that book, level up your health, build better relationships, but if you can't find a single hour in your week for it, you're not serious. You're just wishing. If you want to feel proud of how you're spending your life, start by respecting the hours you already have. Start by giving your time a job. Start by aligning your schedule with your goals, not your excuses. You don't need more hours in a day, you need more clarity, more boundaries, and more courage to actually live according to what matters. The version of you that reaches your goals doesn't magically appear one day. They're built hour by hour, day by day, decision by decision, and the good news, you're building that version of yourself right now, whether you realize it or not. Every choice you make is either pulling you closer or pushing you further away. So make the decision that when someone asks you, "What did you do this week?" you don't have to make something up. You don't have to defend your time. You can say with full confidence, "I used it well. I'm building something that matters. I'm proud of how I'm spending my life." And that pride, that's worth more than any paycheck, any applause, or any external validation. Because that's the pride that lasts, the pride of knowing you're showing up for yourself every single day. Perfection is the silent killer of progress. It disguises itself as preparation, as excellence, as high standards, but what it's really doing is keeping you stuck. It convinces you to wait, to overthink, to tweak endlessly instead of launching, instead of starting, instead of moving forward. And the longer you wait to act because something isn't perfect, the more momentum you lose, the more belief you lose, the more time you lose. But here's the truth: action beats perfection every single time. You don't grow from things you think about doing, you grow from the things you actually do, even when they're messy, even when they're small, even when they're far from ideal, because action is what teaches you. Action is what gives you feedback. Action is what gives you clarity. You can spend months trying to create the perfect strategy, but you'll learn more in a single week of implementation than in a year of overplanning. The idea that everything has to be polished before it's shared, launched, or spoken out loud is just fear in disguise. It's fear of being judged, fear of failing, fear of not being good enough. But here's what you have to understand: nobody ever built something meaningful by trying to avoid mistakes. They built it by taking steps, learning quickly, adapting, and trying again. Every leader, every entrepreneur, every high performer you admire, they didn't wait for perfect conditions. They acted, they started before they felt ready, and that's exactly why they succeeded. People who obsess over perfection rarely finish anything. They're caught in the loop of preparing, revising, doubting, and restarting. But results don't come from the perfect plan, they come from the consistent execution of an imperfect one. Progress is messy, growth is uncomfortable, but if you're waiting until you feel 100% certain, you'll never take the leap. Perfection is also one of the most socially acceptable excuses. You can hide behind it for years and still be praised for being detailed or focused or thorough. But deep down, you know what it really is: it's avoidance. It's protection, and while you're protecting yourself from the risk of being seen, you're also protecting yourself from the possibility of real impact. If you're not embarrassed by your first draft, your first post, your first launch, you waited too long. Everything gets better with repetition, not with delay. You can't get to version 10 until you're willing to put out version 1. And yes, version 1 might not be great, but that's not the point. The point is momentum. The point is movement. The point is giving yourself the opportunity to improve, and that only happens through doing. When you take action, even imperfect action, you create energy, you create accountability. You show yourself that you're capable of following through, and the confidence that comes from doing something far outweighs the temporary comfort of planning something. Real confidence is built in execution, not in theory. There will always be a reason to wait. There will always be one more thing to fix, one more thing to learn, one more thing to research. But at some point, you have to call it. You have to decide that imperfect progress is more valuable than perfect procrastination. You have to prioritize motion over hesitation. You have to choose to move forward even when it's not flawless. And let's be clear, this isn't about lowering your standards. It's about understanding that execution is part of excellence. That nothing becomes great until it first becomes real. You can refine as you go. You can polish with feedback. You can level up through experience. But none of that happens if you don't first take the leap. Every break Through you want is on the other side of action, not waiting, not wishing, not planning endlessly. Action. You're not going to think your way into your next level, you're going to do your way there. Show up, start messy, keep going, because the people who win are not the ones who always got it right the first time, they are the ones who didn't quit, who kept moving, who stayed in the game long enough to figure it out. So stop waiting for perfect. Perfect isn't coming, but progress is waiting on you to start.